Hey, hey, Trevy's painting table fans! Hey everybody, it's Trevy the Great here with another Valhalla Battle Report. This time, it's War Machine, not 40k, which is pretty cool. I felt like I really needed to play a game of War Machine to justify carrying on my models like 2,000 miles across the United States. So I ended up throwing down with another player who brought War Machine to the event, who played Circle of Orboros, and he was playing pKaya, and I was playing pDeneghra. So we're having some hot girl-on-girl action with some crazy magic, and we're gonna play over this sweet trench table that Bluto painting threw together. So yeah, that's how it's gonna go. So in my 35-point list, I knew I couldn't take a lot of the things I normally take, like Wither Shadow Combine, because obviously they're not going to do a heck of a lot versus a Hordes faction. Their main thing is the Dark Industries, which lets them to create warjacks out of other jacks, but unfortunately there's no other jacks on the other side of the board, so they'd be relying on their Dark Fire magical attacks to really do stuff, and POW 10 really isn't very great. So I decided to leave them at home. Instead, I took, with pDeneghra, Nightmare, the character Slayer Jack, who's awesome and runs around and has prey and stealth and sweet like that. And supporting him, I have 2 Night Wretches and a Defiler as my Arc Node support. I have a unit of minimum Bane Thralls with the unit attachment, joined, of course, by Tartarus, the Bane Lord himself. I have a Scarlock Thrall, a Necrotech with his attendant Scrap Thrall, or Bombi as I like to call him, and then a Warwitch Siren. I actually don't think she's in this picture right now, which is really sad, but I do have a Warwitch Siren. So she's going to be able to do some power booster on my jacks, hopefully throw out some venom in the late game when I really need some extra spray attacks. Okay, so here's the board setup. I apologize for the light. We were playing this in sort of midday outside, which was really cool that we were playing outside, but unfortunately sort of threw off the camera with a very bright sun. It's very sunny in Utah, if you haven't noticed. But here's my deployment. My opponent's lit army, you can see it sort of on the opposite side of the board. He's taken a unit of Druids of Orboros with their unit attachment, the Druid Overseer, I believe. He's taken a minimum unit of Skinwalkers. He's taken 3 War Beasts, a Feral Warpwolf, a Pure Blood Warpwolf, and a Warpwolf Stalker. Warpwolf, Warpwolf, Warpwolf. Let's try saying that 10 times fast. And he's got Kaya and Laris, her little light war beast familiar person. So anyway, this is how we deployed. My opponent has a lot of advanced deployment going on, so he was able to basically just put down his druids and his skinwalkers. Everything else came in later. As you can see, they're just sort of in the trenches there. We called getting up and down the trenches. I believe we called that difficult terrain, and but moving around inside the trenches was unhindered. So unfortunately, those trenches are going to be tough for me because I don't have a lot of Pathfinder, and it's going to stop a lot of my my charges and things short. So unfortunately, I'll have to really try to find those open spaces and be able to attack my opponent there, where he is, where I'm just as maneuverable as he is. So we'll see how it goes on turn 1. Okay, so here's the end of turn 1. My opponent took the first turn. He moved up basically to a solid line. He's put all his war beasts up on top of that. Well, his skinwalkers and his feral warpwolf up on top of that sort of plateau there, and then his the rest of his war beasts are down in the trench. And his druids are over in the ruins on the left-hand side of the screen. I basically just moved my troops up a little tiny bit. I've spread my arc nodes out to try to be able to get some possibly some cripples and things off on enemies that stray within their range. And then I basically just hope that my opponent would move forward and hope to get an alpha strike, and then I would basically go ghostly and be able to get some charges off. But unfortunately, it's going to be tough because we're both very, very fast armies. Well, Crix is obviously not as fast as Orboros, but we are movement-based armies. We're both very fragile, and we both hit very hard. So we're both trying to get that alpha strike off, and neither of us are going to try, be able to do it early on in this game because we're both being so wary of our opponents. Okay, so here we go. This is into the next round. Basically, I've decided that my opponent basically did some maneuvering. He really wasn't able to get anybody into a good position to do anything. Um, so what I've done is basically just maneuvered my force. I decided that instead of trying to hold the center, where there's a lot of movement obstructing pieces of terrain, especially those trenches, I've decided to move over to the left here and try to take. There's a sort of open area on my left flank. So I've been trying to take that and sort of reform my line up there. Because if I'm able to do that, I'll be able to basically just hold off my opponent because he's only going to be as fast as I am. He's not going to get any of those Pathfinder modifiers, and then I'll just play a waiting game because I don't need to get out there. I don't need to be able to attack him. I have enough stuff to just stay here, and I can throw some sprays and maybe some scourges out as I see fit, and try to do some damage. So that's what I'm trying to do. Just move over to this other side of the board, and I did move that Night Wretch. He's sort of in a little to the left of the center of the picture, amongst a group of druids and the Warp Wolf, the pureblood Warp Wolf there. He was hiding behind the ruins in the center of the picture, and he jumped. He jumped over one of the walls. Was able to cast Parasite. pDeneghra was able to cast Parasite through his Arc Node at the Skinwalkers because those guys have very high armor. I really wanted to be able to deal with them quickly, so they couldn't tar pit some of my bigger units. But unfortunately, the druids were able to hit. They weren't able to hit the Night Wretch before because he had such a high defense because he was hiding behind the wall and on a higher elevation. Once he jumped over the wall, they were able to hit him pretty easily and dragged him right off of the trench wall there with their pull effect, and were able to wreck him pretty handily due to some good rolling. Okay, here's the end of the next round. As you can see, I have redeployed my army pretty much entirely to line up on this road, and just basically bait my opponent into coming towards me. I don't need to move out, but he does need to attack me to be able to get damage off. His druids have a decent shooting attack, but they're not able to do enough damage, especially with the stealth and the Bane Thralls, Tartarus, and pDeneghra, and then the higher elevation. So those guys would have to move up to get a lot of shots off. And then they're an easy target for Tartarus to just walk up and start slaying them. And unfortunately, my opponent really can't afford that. So we're basically just playing the waiting game. Like I said before, we're both Alpha Strike armies. We both try to get a charge off and be able to do damage, but neither of us really want to do this. And I mean, we're playing a friendly game. We're not trying to be speed gamers or anything here, but we've been playing for quite a while at this point. So I think at this point we did decide to call the battle a draw, just because it would have been going too long to be able to do any damage. But so we've called it a draw at this point. But we decided what would happen if Kaya made an assassination run right now. So we did decide to try to play out the rest of the battle. But the game, we did call a draw just because it would have taken too long. Neither of us really wanted to commit. So we're just gonna play it out for the camera, basically. Okay, I've got to say in this photo, I'm really sorry for the terrible lighting. The sun did come out like from behind a cloud or something right here, and really brightened up my side of the board. My opponent's side of the board didn't get as bright. So what's happened here is the Tartarus has cursed the unit of druids because he'd been able to jump right through the wall he was behind and get just close enough to attack them with his reach, great axe there. Was able to kill 2 or 3 of them, turn them into Bane Thralls. No, actually, no. I'm sorry. He was only able to kill 1. He turned that into a Bane Thrall who had been killed earlier, believed by the druids firing. So that was a little good for me. Other than that, my opponent's basically just moving around trying to get to a good angle to get an assassination run off. As you can see, Nightmare is pretty much guarding my right flank there to ward off anybody, any attacking war beast, because he is a giant beatstick, and they're not going to be able to get into charge range with him without him being first in charge range of them, because he does have reach. He does have +2 movement for prey. He's preyed the Feral Warpwolf, and so he has a 13-inch 13-inch threat range with his charge, which is awesome. So yeah, other than that, doing a lot of maneuvering. I have done serious damage to the skinwalkers with that defiler sitting in the center of the board. He was able to fire his little flamethrower, and then I fired 2 additional venoms from pDeneghra and was able to kill all but one of the skinwalkers, which was awesome for me. And yeah, other than that, we're basically just hanging out waiting for each other to do something. So again, sorry for the picture. The sun came out and really screwed up the lighting again. Um, a couple things have happened in this round. My opponent again is just waiting in the corner. I actually I said we called it a draw earlier. I don't think we called it a draw until this point because it really was just a waiting game. Nobody really wanted to wait it out. I was a little up ahead because we were playing an attrition game, and obviously I'm Crix. The Tartarus was able to move up and Thresher 3 of the Druids with his big axe there and create 3 more Bane Thralls. The Bane Thralls were able to get into combat with one more Druid due to Curse and Ghostwalk from the Scarlock Thrall, and they were able to kill him. So there's 1 Druid remaining at just the unit leader, and the Skinwalkers have been reduced. Actually, I think the Skinwalkers were destroyed because they tried to move up onto that little plateau area on the right, and the Defiler was able to fire. The Warwitch Siren was able to fire her Venom. The Scarlock was able to fire a Venom, and then pDeneghra put a couple Venoms through the Arc Node. So I think I got something like 5 or 6 POW-10 shots at that guy. I was able to take him out. So the Skinwalkers have been removed. It's just that I really don't want to deal with those War Beasts because they do have Berserk. They do have the Stalker has Reach, and they have a lot of nasty tools that can really tear up my infantry. I don't have a lot of big things to really take them out. So again, we're just playing more of the waiting game. I have my little Night Wretch on the right-hand corner. Moved up and tried to fire at Laris there, but I did boost the attack roll, but I missed anyway, which is too bad. I could have done some serious damage with a boosted POW 14 damage roll, but it was not to be. So that's what's going on. I think my opponent's going to try an assassination run in the next turn, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so here we go. This is going to be the last photo of the game. What's happened here is that Laris has run up. Kaya's been able to teleport to Laris and then activate her feat. Her feat allows all the war beasts in her army to teleport to her. So all of her warp wolves have just jumped right up and been able to teleport right up there in my face. Again, we called it a draw at this point. We're just playing it out to see how it would have gone. And unfortunately, this is the last picture I took, so there wasn't any more photos, although more stuff did happen. The Nightmare had preyed the Pharaoh Warpwolf. He charged in, was able to do an enormous amount of damage and kill him off really quickly. Basically, the rest of my army just moved up to try to respond to this. I threw a couple sprays through the arc node of the little defiler there, and was able to do a little bit of damage to the Stalker, I think. And then it was my opponent's turn. So what my opponent did was he ran Laris around all of the units. He took a couple free strikes, but was able to get past them with a really high defense. He ran Laris around just into melee range with pDeneghra. He then teleported Kaya to attack pDeneghra. Kaya had just enough fury left. I think he had 3 fury left. He boosted his first attack, was able to do 8 damage to pDeneghra. And then he decided to buy 2 additional attacks with his 2 remaining fury, and unfortunately that just didn't do it. He needed an 8 to hit, I believe. He figured that with 2 attacks there's about a 50-50 chance he should hit with one of them. All he needed to do was 8 damage to pDeneghra to wipe her out. Unfortunately, he missed with both of them because pDeneghra has a ridiculous defense of 16. And so he ended up failing his assassination run, and we decided to call it at that point because obviously Kaya would have been annihilated by Bane Thralls right after there. So it was a great game. We did call it a draw because obviously I don't think my opponent would have tried for this assassination run. I did sort of leave pDeneghra open a little bit that I probably shouldn't have, and the game would have taken too long to get to a stage where this was actually viable. So yeah, we called it a game. It was a good game. My one game of War Machine at Valhalla. And it was on an awesome board. I hope you guys enjoyed. I do love these the boards with these awesome War Machine models, all fully painted. Looks absolutely awesome. So if you want to see more Valhalla battle reports, just check my channel or go to Trevy'sPaintingTable.com. Cheers, everyone.